What's up guys? In today's video, we're gonna be doing a few things actually. I've got some stuff to take care of on the S2000, the Honda S2000. And also, if we can get to it, I want to take a look at the Dakota. So you guys know that we went to the track with this on the weekend. If you guys haven't seen that video, I'll link it up above. You guys definitely want to check out that video where this Honda S2000 destroyed a 2016 Chevrolet Corvette Z06. Definitely check out the video, it's hilarious. They were talking all kinds of smack all the way to the track, and then they got their ass handed to them, and then they came up with all the excuses. Oh, I need more tires. I need $9,000 carbon ceramic brakes. That's why, this why, that's why. Whatever, they lost, end of story. So what I do want to take a look at is this thing had a little bit of hesitation going on. So there wasn't any smoke, nothing weird going on, but the engine, when I was just like partial throttle, it was kind of like misfiring a little bit. You kind of feel it going ba 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 ba. So I want to take a look at some stuff. When I first got the car, it appeared to have some new spark plugs in it, but I don't know if they were the right kind of spark plugs. I'm pretty sure they put new spark plugs in it, but I'm gonna go ahead, pull the plugs, see what those look like, and then go from there. So I want to take a look at those, see if maybe that's an issue. These Honda S2000s have some issues with coil packs going bad, injectors going bad, and a couple other things, map sensors. So I'm gonna see if I can try to narrow it down, because I don't think there's anything wrong with the engine. It's not smoking, it's not doing anything weird, making any weird noises. It's just with it being a 2002, there's some stuff that's probably gonna break down, and with us beating the hell out of it, it's bound to happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these 4 coil packs, and I'm gonna look, take out the plugs, take a look at them, see what they look like, see if we can identify anything, and go from there. So let's go ahead, pull those coil packs and get the plugs out. Okay, so we got all 4 coil packs out and all 4 plugs out, and the only thing I notice is the first one looks a little bit more lean compared to the rest of them. See how the rest have a little bit of, I mean, as far as the plugs go, they're iridiums, NGK iridiums, they still look fairly new, as you can see, so I don't think that's the issue. But the first one being a tiny bit lean could possibly be part of our issue. I'm gonna go ahead and just do a quick compression test on this. I don't wanna scare ourselves, but I think it should be okay. I'm just gonna pull the fuel pump fuse out of here first before we do that, so it's not flooding the cylinders. And we'll go ahead and just do a quick compression test, make sure that's all good. And one other quick thing that we can try is these map sensors are known to go bad. I have a spare one. We'll go ahead and throw it on once we put everything back in. But let's go ahead and just do that quick compression test. And then we can also get a reference for how off our gauge is, since that always seems to be reading low. This should be around 230 or so. So we'll go ahead and throw it on this and see if we get those numbers. If we don't get those numbers around 230 or so, we'll know that our gauge, there is an issue with it, and that's why that always reads so low. So this will be a good test as well. All right, for anybody that's actually curious, the fuel pump fuse isn't under the hood, it's actually underneath the driver's side kick panel. So we removed the fuel pump fuse. Now we'll go ahead and connect up our gauge. Yeah, see, this is a low reading gauge, you guys, because see how we're only getting like 170 out of that one? So that's why whenever we try to do a compression test on that, it looks super low, when in fact or actuality it isn't. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, so we went through the compression test, and cylinder 1 is definitely a lot stronger than the rest of them, but at least none of them are dead cylinders. So a couple things about that. Doing a compression test doesn't really reveal whether it is the valves or the rings leaking. One way to rule that out is to put some oil down the cylinders and see if it seals. If it seals, then that's usually rings. If your compression comes up, either way, this gauge reads super low compared to what it should be, because we found that out with the Dakota, and we also found that out with this. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and order a new gauge before we drive ourselves mental with that thing. So I'll probably try to order a more legit one. Anyways, I put our spark plugs in our coil pack back in. I don't think it's that at the moment. What it might be, I'm gonna try a couple other simple things. Right now the idle is kind of hanging a little bit high. This is our idle air control valve. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that and clean it at the same time. And that way we can see if we can rule that out. So that's another fairly simple one. We'll see if that fixes our idle. Let's get it off. So this one's relatively simple. It's only 2 10mm bolts that hold it on, and it has 2 coolant lines, which at some point I want to bypass, because these Hondas are made for any type of climate, and really we don't need
hot coolant running through our, anywhere through our intake. So there's a couple spots where it does in fact run through, and I don't necessarily want that because it's just adding extra heat into our intake, which is reducing power. So, but I do want to pull it off, make sure it's not gummed up or stuck or something like that, because that's something that can happen quite often on these things. So we will double check that. We'll take it off, clean it up, and we'll put it back on. Yeah, so this thing spins super smooth, so it's definitely not it. It is free spinning. So we can go ahead and put this thing back together. There's nothing wrong with this. All right, so we got it back together. Let's go ahead and throw it back on. All right, so not that we've changed anything yet, but let's jump in the car, start it up, and I wanna see if the idle at least comes back down. If not that we've really changed anything, but we took that apart, put it back together. I just wanna make sure we're good. And then I think next we're gonna swap out this one, see what happens. So you can see the idle, it's gonna take a bit to warm up, but we'll see if she comes down. The RPM looks not too bad, honestly, you guys. Idle's coming down. Once it usually gets to the temperature, it usually settles in just around a grand or a little bit below, but it was sitting super high before. I don't think we've done anything just yet, but I may try changing out that map sensor, but it might be the valves tightened up a bit again. All right, so it doesn't want to settle completely down, so it's 2 screws. Let's go ahead and change that map sensor, see if it does anything with the other one I have, if it improves our condition at all. Here's the other map sensor. There's a Phillips screwdriver, 2 screws, swap it. There we go. See if this makes any difference whatsoever. Could be the valves. Doesn't hurt to check. It's just a little bit more work. I kind of want to pull that valve cover off, but then I'm going to want to paint it if I take it off and check our valve clearances. I don't know if we want to get into all that right now. But definitely a little something going on here. Okay, next up, you guys, I don't recommend just swapping parts, kind of like what I'm doing right now, but there's not many ways to test a fuel injector, and the fuel injectors on S2000s are known to go bad. I happen to have a set of 4. I checked the resistance on these 4 compared to the resistance on those that are in the car with the multimeter, and those ones seem a lot different resistance than these. So honestly, it is super simple to change them. So before I go ahead and rip the valve cover off to do valve clearances and check all that, it's honestly like 3 bolts and then the fuel injectors come out. So I might as well just swap them. I know those are a good working set because before I actually adjusted the valves on this car, I ended up swapping the injectors and there was no change in performance. So let's go ahead and put those ones in here and see if it makes a difference. Otherwise, it looks like we're pulling the valve cover. What did I tell you guys? 2 seconds later, the fuel injectors are out. So we'll go ahead and swap them over. We're gonna put a rag down because there's gonna be some fuel that's gonna come out here as soon as I pull the injector out of the rail, but let's go ahead and swap them. Okay, here we go, boys. Just gonna puke out gas everywhere. Not too bad, but it will come out, so just be aware of that. So we'll take this out. I'm gonna put a little bit of engine oil on the O-ring so we can slide it back in. You guys use whatever you want. That's what I find works the best, and it's not gonna wreck anything. So we'll do the second one, same deal. All right guys, new injectors are in. Let's start this puppy up, see what we got. I'm kind of leaning towards being a valve adjustment again, but we'll see. There we go, turn the key twice just to prime the fuel rail since it's gonna be empty. See if we get anything different this time. Let's see guys, the idle's sitting lower even already, because if you guys remember when we started up cold before, it was up around 2 grand. We're just below 1,500 and it's still cold, so we might be onto something here. We'll see. All right, so the idle's still hanging a little bit high, but it seems pretty smooth. I'd have to go for a road test to see if it's still doing that misfire thing. It doesn't sound like it is, but the only way to really confirm would be to take for a road test. All right guys, so since I've been beating the crap out of this engine, I am gonna pull the valve cover anyways. We'll double check our valve clearances. I've done a completely separate video on this, but I'm just gonna cut through the chase. I'll show you guys having the valve cover off, and I'll also link above that specific video on how to do this. But since we're just vlogging today, I'm gonna rip the valve cover off. It'll give us just a chance to paint that ugly thing. I'm gonna probably try to strip all that red paint off it. I think I might just go with a simple black for now, but let's get that thing off of there and we'll get to it. Okay guys, it took like less than 5 minutes and here's the engine. So here's all the inside and it's pretty simple. We just have to check all of our valve clearances, make sure that they're not too tight. We did this not too long ago, but I just want to double check it because we've been beating on it, but we'll see what she looks like. At the same time, we can finally paint that. All right guys, this is what we need to check the valve clearances. We got 0.008 of a thou, 0.10 of a thou, and we have this tool that works really awesome. It's a screwdriver and a 10 mil incorporated into one. So I'm gonna go ahead and just check them. We want a little bit looser on our exhaust valves because there's heat over there, so they tighten up a bit more. So that's where we'll go with the bigger spec, the 0.010. And then we'll do the 0.008 on the intake. So I'm just gonna run through it real quick and then we'll wrap this up. All right guys, so I adjusted some of the exhaust valves. The intake valves were all fine. A few of the exhaust valves were a little bit tight. They were still not too bad, but maybe just a little bit tight. The other thing you guys gotta remember too is when we're beating the crap out of this car on the track, the temperature of the engine is getting super hot. So when it does get super hot like that, it is going to, the reason why you have the clearances in those valves there is so that when things get hot and expand, that you still have some clearances. So actually the exhaust valves on this vehicle have a little bit more clearance or calls for more clearance than the intake for that very reason. Things get hot on that side and you need that clearance. Otherwise your valves stick open a tiny bit and it can cause a misfire. So I adjusted them. I mean, the hesitation wasn't that bad, but I mean, it was slightly noticeable. So this is why I'm going through everything, but the only way to check it is to put it back together. And we have the valve cover off, which you can see over there. So I will finally get that painted up. Probably do that tomorrow, and I'll have that video for you guys tomorrow, but that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for today. It's already late here, and I wanna get you guys this video. So kind of just a daily vlog. Let me know if you guys like this style of me just messing around, and I'll keep it coming as always. So if you guys like this, make sure you give a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell next to it so you're notified of all the latest videos. We got a lot more on the way. Tomorrow I wanna button up this thing, so I should be able to get that valve cover painted. And while we do that, I will hopefully get to the Dakota or the Ram. There's a few things I want to do. I still want to get those badges taken care of on the SRT10. So we'll probably mess with that or either the Dakota. Let me know what you guys want to see down below. More Dakota, some Ram, you guys decide. Also, I think I'm gonna go black on the valve cover just to keep it simple. It's easy to get and I can have it done tomorrow. I gotta strip all that old paint off at first, so probably use some aircraft stripper and show you guys how that works. But I'll do another daily vlog for you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, see you on the next one.